Hello YouTube and welcome back to 25 an Hour, where I talk to you about 25 games I'm collecting for particular consoles, because I'm a game collector, a retro game collector, and that's what I like to do. I've already done part 1 on the Mega Drive, so this is part 2 on the Mega Drive, so I can show you some of the games I've already got out of the 25 I really want to get for these consoles. So grab yourself a brew as I bring some retro gaming to you, as Slotted In There presents 25 and Out for the Mega Drive part 2. So as in part 1, I'm just going to show you some of the games out of my 25 that I wanted that I've collected already, and just talk about them a bit and sort of explain why I wanted them and why they're in my collection. So let's get started with ones that I've sort of mentioned in the first video. It'll come as no surprise that my first game I'm going to talk to you about is Sonic 3. Now, in my first video, I mentioned about Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. Sonic 2 being the first game I got with the Mega Drive, so it was obvious I wanted to get Sonic 3. At the time when it initially came out, I didn't get Sonic 3. I've literally never played Sonic 3 until I got this about a year or so, a couple of years ago, on the Mega Drive, because you couldn't even get it on the collections. I don't think it was on any of those Mega Drive collections that you buy for the PS2 and Xbox 360. So I think it might have been in the 360 version, but I didn't really play it a lot. I might have played the first level, and to be fair, I haven't really played a lot of it now because of that. I keep going back to it. Just a trilogy of games you need to get, isn't it? You need to get 1, 2 and 3, like I say. People say 3 is really good. It's the best one out there. People highly recommend it, but like I say, I haven't actually invested a lot of time into this one, to be fair. It's one I need to go back to, and I might even do a video of in the future. But you know, with the rising popularity of the new Sonic films that have come out and everything, you probably want to go back to his original games and play them anyway. They're timeless classics. You can just throw them on and have a little play with them. And like I say, I've had a bit of a go at it. It's just time factor. I don't really have a lot of time to invest at the moment in this one. So it's one I wanted in the collection, though, so you got that initial trilogy, because they're probably the best ones, aren't they, out of all the Sonic games so far. And yeah, that's why it's in my collection. So the next game, back in the 90s, I was really into Schwarzenegger films. They were absolutely everywhere, weren't they? And they're amazing. And there was a huge blockbuster at the time called Terminator 2. If you've not seen it, my goodness, not heard of it, my goodness again. Where have you been in the world? But yeah, so I obviously loved that film and I wanted to get a game tied to it. So I got Terminator 2, the arcade game. And I did actually have a Menacer gun at the time, which was amazing, so I could use it with it, but I think I still used the control pad because it was quite hard to do. So yeah, you got a little target on the screen and you're just shooting, a bit like Operation Wolf style sort of thing, just a point and shoot game. It's obviously like the arcade, that's why it's called the arcade game, isn't it? And you think it'd be a bit harder to use control pad, but actually I really found it good on the control pad. I really enjoyed it. I played it all the way through. It was one of them I sunk loads of time to. It did follow the plot parts of the film, get my words out, very well. So yeah, you had your different scenes for the film, so if as a sort of tie-in, movie tie-in, it's a really good game as well. And yeah, I really enjoyed just playing through it. I played through it a lot. I think it takes about 45 minutes to complete the game, or it did at the time. If you were good at it and you knew what you were doing, I could sort of ace it in that sort of time. But yeah, it was really good, and like I say, you had lots of replay value because you'd obviously get better and better at the levels, and you could get all the power-ups, and you can end up shooting the baddies in different ways and in quicker times and everything. But yeah, it was a really good movie tie-in if you're really into the films, as I was at the time with Terminator 2, because it was a big thing. So, and it's a good one to play now. I really enjoy it as well. I don't think it's too expensive to buy, box and all that lot. So yeah, I'd really recommend it if you want to go back and play that one as well. Now, as you might have discussed in the first video when I talked about games like Earthworm Jim that were a bit wacky and a bit out of there, this next game's not going to be a surprise, because that's where my sort of humour lies. That I was really into Ren and Stimpy. And when I saw there was one on the Mega Drive, Stimpy's invention, well, of course, I just had to get that. I think at the time my family were a bit weird going, you know, it's a kid's cartoon, why do you want that sort of thing for your birthday? Because I did that from a birthday at the time. Can I have this game? But yeah, it's because the humour is amazing between Ren and Stimpy. I love the cartoons at the time because they were so wacky, and the game's pretty wacky as you go along. You use each other as instruments sometimes to solve some of the puzzles. So you can use, I think Ren uses Stimpy as like a jackhammer to get through some levels on some ice. You're throwing each other across things to show puzzles and everything. And like I say, it's got that art style that it was quite creepy really for a kids program, isn't it? the weird art style they did. So like you can walk through a zoo and there's lovely giraffes, and then they'll just bend over and try and bite you and look really snarly. So it's quite creepy, but I obviously love that. It's absolutely amazing. It's really wacky. Some of the things you have to do in the game, I like to show, are just absolutely crazy and wacky. So yeah, it plays really well as a nice platformer. It is a bit hard in places, again, which is ironic for a kids game, isn't it? But they used to make the kids games really hard, didn't they, back in the day? So yeah, so it's a good one. I really enjoyed it. It's really wacky. If you're a fan of a show and enjoyed it at the time, it's one of them I'd go back to, because you can still play it as a nice little platformer and you'll obviously enjoy the humour. If you don't like that sort of humour, you'll look at this and go, what is going on? This is really weird. I don't get it. So you got those two camps there. If you're into that sort of humour, you're going to love it. If you're not into that, yeah, steer clear of this one. But I'm absolutely mental like that, so I loved it. It was great. It's absolutely amazing. So the next game on my list is a sequel, because I never played the first one. My friend got this game and it was absolutely amazing to play 2-player, and that is Road Rash 2. Now, Road Rash 2 is pretty very similar to the first one if you played the first one as well. I don't think you had the 2-player element as much, or it wasn't, as prominent in the first one. So it's great for 2-player fun. Yeah, it's a racing game. It's really good. You're sort of going along and racing bikes against each other, but obviously you can beat each other up on this one. It's great. You can beat your comrades up, so you can knock them off and then you obviously get a place. That's a good way to do it. You can either punch them in the face or you can use chains. You can also pick up batons, because you can beat the police up as well. So you obviously got to watch, if the police are after you, because you're racing and police bikes come and get you as well, but you can steal the batons. You can beat up police officers, which I don't condone, but in a gaming sense, it's absolutely cool at the time, rage against the machine sort of thing, beat the system, and you're just out there winning the races. It's one of them that you could really enjoy. You could be a hero or zero, because you could get to the end of a level, win, and then suddenly crash your bike half a mile from the end, and then everybody overtake you. And then you'd have to sit and go through the whole level again, which could be quite frustrating, because they're quite long levels in places, aren't they? But yeah, it's an absolute classic game. It's great a 2-player game. So if you can get this on the system, again, I don't think it's too expensive, and just have, a bit of local co-op, it's absolutely brilliant beating your mates up, going along and everything. But a 1-player game campaign's really good as well, because it does get a bit harder obviously as tracks go on, and like I say, if you end up doing something stupid like falling off your bike towards the end, you've got to do the whole level again to progress. So that was a sort of challenge to it. But yeah, absolutely loved this one. Had a great time with mates playing it a lot when it sort of first came out, and that's why I had to get it back in the collection. It's a really cool little racing game. So you're probably going to start seeing a theme here that usually they're two TV programs or film sort of tie-ins that I sort of liked at the time. And another one that was great on the CITV at the time, a kids sort of program, was Tasmania. It's a great little cartoon, Tasmania, when you watch it on telly, but the game's absolutely really good as well. It's a lovely little platformer. You play as Taz going around, you've got to spin to get your enemies, and it's quite tricky. I'm pretty sure there's time limits on some of the levels to get through, so you've got that sort of challenge as well. But yeah, it was a bit quirky in places as well, because it was obviously Tasmania and the Looney Tunes sort of family, isn't it, sort of thing to do. And I think people found it that it wasn't, again, just a kids game, because some of the levels are quite hard and quite challenging to do, had to think about. But yeah, I really like this one as a game. I haven't played it loads since I got it back in the collection, but back in the day I played it absolutely loads. Again, because I was sort of watching those kids programs, early 90s, Tasmania was a good one. So obviously when they brought out a game for it, I was like, yeah, but quite a lot of people do have a fun spot for this one as well. It's not just me, my weird sort of kids programs tie-ins. But yeah, I don't really know what to say apart from it. It just looks good. It's got a bit of that wacky Looney Tunes humour in there, sort of, but not too much. Not as say your Ren and Stimpy's or your Earthworm Jim's a bit out there. It's just a nice little game to play. It's challenging in parts, but not too difficult. And I think you can have a really good time with it. Again, it's about a 45-minute game to play once you know what you're doing. But you've got some really hard levels in there. You've got sort of one where you're on a a mining car, and like that's one of them you could just die for ages at, if you don't know when you're jumping off or when you're ducking under and all that lot. But the rest of it's generally forgiving, if I recall. And yeah, it was just a cool little game, cool little tie-in game for a nice little program at the time. And yeah, that's why I want it back in my collection. And the final game I'm going to talk to you about in this video, it probably is my favourite game on the Mega Drive. The best Mega Drive game ever, I probably feel. I might be wrong, might change opinions, but I keep coming back to it. This is an absolute belter, and it's one that I really wanted. in my collection as soon as I started collecting properly, and that is the immense Streets of Rage 2. I mean, what can you say about Streets of Rage 2? First of all, it's a scrolling sort of beat 'em up, so you're beating up people, which is cool, isn't it? You know, it's got great two-player action because you had 4 characters to pick from, and you and your mates can play it, isn't it? Going along, working through stories, so it's a great little multiplayer game there. There was even a head-to-head sort of bit, which wasn't great, but I think you could do that sort of thing as well. But generally, co-op, going through, cleaning up the streets and all that lot. But it just, as a sequel, again, it improved so much on the first one, because the first one's graphics weren't as great. This one, however, absolutely amazing. The art style's great. It looks really sort of a chunkier, cartoony sort of way. The music's absolutely brilliant. The special moves that they do, absolutely amazing. And it's just one of them games. There's just certain games out there that you will all find you could just throw on. If you're having a bad day and you just want a bit of a chill, just going through it, a bit of mindless action, take your mind off it. That's Streets of Rage, because you're just going through, very therapeutic maybe, you're just beating people up, and you progress so well, it's great. It does get harder towards the later levels, so there's a bit of challenge there, but it's because of that, it just, I've played it so many times, you can just throw it on, have a bit of a play, takes your mind off it, dip in and out of it, as and when you want, just like 5-10 minutes will be great, but you can do the whole game in about an hour max. And like I say, it's great when your mates come around because you can have a bit of two-player action with it as well. So again, it might be my most favourite game on the Mega Drive, but we'll have to see as we get on. So that's all the games for this video. So let's take a look at my 25 list now for the Mega Drive. And as you can see, got quite a few games there already. Got about half my list, haven't I, from the ones I've just shown you. So how this sort of progresses is obviously when I start picking up some male Mega Drive games, I might save them all together to do another little episode like this, or I'll probably do sort of like pick-up videos and I'll blend them into other consoles I'll be picking up for as well. So keep your eye out for those sort of pick-up videos, and obviously, like I say, I'll probably do some of these videos in the future for the other consoles I've been collecting for as well. So that might be of interest to you. Make sure you write down in the comments what you liked about this video. If you'd like any of these games again, have you played these games? Would you recommend them to people, or have you just been inspired by something I've shown you today, you know, that you're going to have a track it down yourself and have a go? Because remember, the interaction between you and me is what makes YouTube special. Thanks for watching this video, and make sure you check out content on the rest of the channel. But until next time, bye-bye.